Welcome to the 10th video of traversing. In this video, we are going to learn the computation of traverse misclosure, latitude and departure, its correction, and finally the coordinates. In this calculation, we are going to transfer the value of final bearing into a new traversing form in order to calculate the value of coordinates of each station. Make sure to always double check the value that you copy from this form to the next form, and also always double check the calculations too. This is the coordinates form. Okay, first column is where the direction of the traverse is stated. It is very important to understand on how to fill in this form. A survey line consists of two survey stations, of course, the from station and the to station. But it is important to understand that to avoid confusion, the from station is written only once at the first row, and the rest is inside the to station. Don't worry, I will show you what I meant. Next column is the final bearing. Again, always double check the value. You need to copy the final bearing from the booking form, write it here. Similarly, the distance, copy the value carefully. Next is the latitude column. This is where the final calculations begin. I will explain the concept of latitude again along these calculations. Same goes to the departure. For the adjusted of latitude, we will use Bowditch formula to correct the error in latitude and departure. And finally, the calculations of coordinates, super easy, zigzag concept, but if you miscalculate it in the top part, every following value will of course be wrong. Always extra careful. Alright, let's begin. First is the arrangement of the survey stations, from station and to station. This is very important based on the previous traverse form. On the side of final bearing column is the from and to. Copy and write it here in this form. And the writing is as shown here. Only one from and the rest is to. And the last row is the same survey station as in from, which is the station number 2. As for this example. Now is to fill in the bearing and distance. The first bearing is from survey station number 2 to station number 3. And of course, the distance, remember to always double check the value. Any slight mistake will give very bad result. Alright, now we are going to learn on how to calculate the linear misclosure of this traverse. The first step is to sum up all the distances. In this traverse, the total distance is 206 meters, 206.239 meters. Next is to calculate the latitude and departure. The formula for latitude is distance multiply the cost bearing. Okay, alright, multiply the cost bearing, and for departure the distance is multiplied with the sign bearing. There is a simple trick in calculator for this repetitive work, like in this calculation. In your calculator, please open your calculator here. In your calculator, click alpha here, click alpha, and then click the first A letter. Where is the A letter? Here. Alright. To make it as a blank box, and then click the function cos. Alright, the formula distance cos bearing. So A cos bearing again alpha, and we set it as B, like so, and close the bracket. Okay, this is the second blank box. Okay, the second box, and then click CALC here, calculate. Alright, now the calculator asks for the value A. Okay, we insert the value A as for the first line is 20.278 meters, and then click equals to, like so, and then insert the value B, fill in the bearing and click equals to. The bearing is here 283.34.11 seconds equals to. So if the result is positive, this means that the latitude is for north column. Okay, there are two columns here, north and south. If the result is positive as shown here, then you must write it in the north column. And if the value is negative, then the value is for the south column. After you have finished calculate the latitude, repeat the calculator trick with a sine function to calculate for the departure. Okay, so okay, this is the results I give to you. You please calculate it yourself. Alright, once you have finished this, repeat the calculator trick. Okay, the formula with the blank box. Similarly, if the value is positive, place it in the east column, and otherwise if negative value, put it in the west column. Okay, this is east and this is west. Actually, for the south, some booking form actually they doesn't have north, south, east, west like this form. Okay, some booking form is simply only one column, latitude. Alright, then you need to understand that north is always positive and south there is a negative sign in front of this. Similarly here in departure, east is always the positive and west there is a negative sign in front of this value. After you have finished calculate both latitude and departure, add all the value of latitude and write the results in the last row. Similarly, add all the values of departure and write the results in the last row. These two values actually represent the drift or shifting of the last point from its actual position. Let's say the actual position is, the original position is station number 2. Now, after you have finished doing the traverse loop, you return back to the station number 2. Of course, in the field work, you feel like, yes, you do the traverse correctly because you end up with the station number 2 again. But in calculations, the position might have been shifted. Alright? In this case, the shifting is approximately 3 mm by its latitude and 9 mm by its departure. Alright, now here comes the final part. By applying this formula, we can get the linear mean closure of this traverse. The formula is right here. Total distance divided by the square root of total latitude, total departure square, and total latitude square. Alright, carefully type the formula in your calculator with the value. You will get this number. Lastly, round up the figures to a simpler number and make it a simple sentence to conclude the accuracy of the traverse, like so. Right, this is the approximate 1:21,700, no units of course. Therefore, this is the conclusion. Therefore, the traverse work is acceptable with first class traverse. Okay. So, what does this value actually means is 1:21,000. What does this value actually means? This is a ratio showing the error. As you know, ratio does not have specific units. So in this value, we can put it as millimeter, let's say millimeter. So there is 1 millimeter of error for every 21,700 millimeter of traversing, or 1 millimeter error for every 21.7 meters. Okay, only 1 millimeter error. So this is what this value means. Alright, next slide. Now that we have covered the calculation of linear misclosure, we will proceed with the calculation of adjusted latitude and adjusted departure. The correction formula that we are going to learn called as Bowditch adjustment. The important value for this adjustment formula is the distance of the survey line, the total distance and total latitude for adjusted latitude, or total departure for adjusted departure. So the left formula here, the left formula is for adjusted latitude and the right is for adjusted departure. Simple formula, but there is a tricky part. How to apply the results of the formula? The simple understanding is if the total value of latitude or departure is negative, okay, the total value here, down here, is negative. If the value is negative, to make it closer to zero is to use additional function, of course. Use additional function. And if the total value is positive, like here, then to make it closer to zero, we must apply subtraction function to the results of this formula. Right. Let's continue to the final part of this video, which is the calculations of coordinates. First and foremost, let's assume that the coordinates of survey station number 2 is 1000 north and 1000 east. Here, 1000 north, 1000 east. Let's assume that is the starting coordinates. Now, all you need to do is from the value 1000 north, apply additional functions to the adjusted latitude. Apply the calculations in zigzag. Okay, like so, zigzag. 1000 here, the function always additional. Okay, 1000 plus 4.758, got this value. Alright, if for the south here, 1021.080 plus the negative, which also mean 1021 minus 8 here. Alright, we will get this value. And the results is put on the same row. Then the result is added, okay, here the result is added with 16.322 and the result is put on the same row again. Due to its simple calculations, many mistakes was done in this part. Previous semester, many mistakes at this part. Okay, simple rule, guys. Speeding on road kills. Same here, speed calculating may also kills your result. The final row will have the same value as the first row. This is the final row, same value as the first row. Okay. Repeat the calculation for the easting with the adjusted departure, and this is the results. The rows of coordinates is actually represents the coordinates of the survey stations. Okay. Based on the coordinates of each station, many other engineering work can be done and referred to. Alright guys, again congratulations to all on these calculations. Make sure to practice and remember all the steps and formula in finding the coordinates. Wish you all the best and see you in the next video where we will learn on how to calculate the size of a traverse area based on the coordinates value. And if you want to ask questions, please email it to me.